just made the list! Part 2, baby. This is the second part of the list. It's been a hell of a list. We'll see. It actually drastically dropped off in the amount of names that were called out. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think we're in the ebb of this whole movement, not the flow. And hopefully that's a good thing. And I don't mean that's a good thing because people aren't talking about it. Hopefully that's a good thing because most of the folks have been called out already, and there aren't a whole lot more who have been doing horrible things to individuals. That's literally what I mean. Can't stop, don't stop, Rockefeller Records, because we get on, baby. We get on. Oh, that was a group nobody remembers. Yeah. It is poignant. It is good that we're talking about it. It's great that it's come out. We got a lot to go over on this as far as folks speaking out about their accusations and other folks coming out about it, both men and women. And that's rightfully so, because it's not just a female issue, although the male issue isn't as prominent. It's definitely a male and female issue. But before we move into all of the shit, let's just say it, before we move into all the shit, basically we're going to bust into this week in pro wrestling history. This is a positive one, a good one, actually industry-changing week in pro wrestling history, because on June 23rd, 1996, WWF held the King of the Ring pay-per-view. The King of the Ring semifinals were Stone Cold Steve Austin defeating Marc Mero. Yes, he's the guy that banged Brock Lesnar's wife before Brock got to her. Fun story about that. This is a little sidebar. Marc Mero has been on record saying, I think he wrote it in a book or a memoir or something. He was like, when he was with Sable, she started becoming distant and she started not talking to him as much, and he really started getting suspicious that another guy was sleeping with his wife. And for those of you who don't know about Marc Mero, Johnny B. Bad, whatever, he is a former Golden Gloves champion. Like, he's a champion boxer. He'll knock you the fuck out. He's not somebody to play with. He said, well, when I heard this, I was like, you know what? Let me just find out who the guy is who's fucking my wife, and I'm going to knock him the fuck out. And time comes on, and he finds out that it's Brock Lesnar who was banging his wife, and he said, you know what? Forgiveness is a very beautiful thing. I just love that quote. Like, even Marc Mero is just like, Brock was banging my wife, so it's like, okay. Yeah, a Golden Gloves champion boxer is just like, meh, okay. Yeah, Steve Austin defeated Marc Mero. Jake the Snake Roberts defeated Big Van Vader. Also on the pay-per-view that wasn't part of the King of the Ring, we had Smoking Guns, Billy Gunn and Bart Gunn defeating the Godwins, Henry O. Godwin and Phineas I. Godwin. Yes, that spells H-O-G and P-I-G because they were farmers. They have to have pig names. And they retained the WWF Tag Team Champions. The Ultimate Warrior defeated Jerry the King Lawler. Nobody knows why the fuck that happened in 96. What the fuck? Mankind defeated The Undertaker by submission. That's a badass 96 match. Ahmed Johnson defeated Goldust to win the WWF Intercontinental Championship. Then we had the King of the Ring final. Stone Cold Steve Austin defeated Jake the Snake Roberts to win the King of the Ring tournament. But Pasty, it was not the victory itself that would cement him in the pro wrestling history books. It was his victory speech. And he said, the first thing I want to be done is get that piece of crap out of my ring. Don't just get him out of the ring, get him out of the WWF, because I've proven, son, without a shadow of a doubt, you ain't got what it takes anymore. You sit there and you thump your Bible and you say your prayers, and it didn't get you anywhere. You talk about your Psalms, talk about your John 3:16. Well, Austin 3:16 says, I just whooped your ass. Which ended up becoming the best-selling pro wrestling shirt of all time. And dare I say was the sign that took up more screen on any television during 96, 97 than at any station anywhere. You would just see that everywhere. That was not the main event, though. The main event saw Shawn Michaels retaining his WWF Championship against the British Bulldog, which nobody remembers because of Steve Austin becoming Austin 3:16. This was the turnaround for the WWF. WCW was whooping their ass handedly, and they actually would for a few weeks after this also, but this was basically the big turning point. They had the merchandising. This time he was barely Stone Cold. He wasn't Stone Cold yet. I mean, he was just Austin 3:16, and it wasn't until after the Bret Hart stuff and everything else where he really got big. But huge turning point in pro wrestling history right here. Just him saying the Austin 3:16 thing, which was not scripted, was all on his own, literally saved the WWF. I mean, if this isn't a poster board for why people should just be able to be unscripted. Not every wrestler, keep in mind, there's wrestlers who need to be scripted, but why some of them shouldn't, this is it. He could be the ringmaster, Lance Archer. Not Lance Archer, the other guy named Lance Archer, damn it. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention this last episode or the episode before, whatever. When we seen the pay-per-view, 10 is not Shawn Spears like I had predicted. He is a completely different. I seen him, and it's not him. I don't know why somebody else is just named fucking 10. That doesn't seem to make sense. I haven't answered that question, but I did answer that it's not Shawn Spears, so it's not the predictable route. But as a wise man once said, just because it's unpredictable doesn't mean it's right. Not sure where they... Oh, two right. I mean, those two, keep them out of the ring. Yeah, keep them out of the ring and just keep them on the mic. It would be badass. I would love it. I'd be all for it. And I think both of them. I mean, we know Jake would be. I think Stone Cold would be all. Well, Stone Cold has his toe in the WWE pool, and he makes a lot of money off of them. So I guess it would depend on what Tony Khan is willing. You know what? It all comes down to the two C's, Pasty. You know what the two C's are? Yep. Creative. Cash and creative. If you can make a wrestler be happy with cash and or creative, they'll do what you want them to do. It's the two C's, baby. Speaking of the two C's, Bret Hart was not willing to bend to the two C's, Pasty.
Let me ask you this. If Bret Hart then tells us, as he did and has told the world, that when he got into the ring, he had an agreement with you that it would be a disqualification. Is he lying when he says that?
No, he's not lying about that. He thought for sure that it was going to be a disqualification. That's what he thought.
Which to me says that you agreed to that with him, right?
No, I didn't agree.
So where's the confusion here?
Well, I guess I don't know that there is any confusion. Bret thought that...
Why did he think that then?
Bret thought that he was going to be a disqualification because he had heard it. Brett had every reason to think that it was going to be a disqualification. I knew otherwise.
Where did he hear that from, though? Like
Oh, no, he heard it from everyone who set it up. He heard that.
So when he says that you lied to him as he was heading into the ring,
he's right.
That's typical Vince McMahon. He starts out the interview talking one truth, and then by the end of it, after giving facts, he speaks a completely different truth. Well, he's right. Well, what you just said? You just said. What the fuck? Yeah, that's of course that's an older interview about the Montreal Screwjob. Well, I'm sure he does, and I'm sure because it costs so much money, they just give up. That's an old interview on the Montreal Screwjob, but it's just a perfect Vinceism, if you will, about how he just spins the truth. You ask him one thing, and he lies, and he lies, and he lies, and then you give him facts about it, and he's like, well, he's right. I'm not wrong. I'm just saying he's right. I'm not saying I'm wrong. The exact opposite thing I told you that I said was right, but he's also right, saying the exact opposite thing. Oh, Vince, we love you. Where would wrestling be without him? Where would America be without him? Donald Trump. Yeah. That is true. He stays out of the light a lot. Oh, it would be insane. Yeah, pretty middle of the road response. He doesn't take any responsibility. I guess that could be one way to. I didn't think of it that way. That could be one way of looking at it. I would hope. Yeah, there's stupid. There are stupid wrestling. I mean, we talked about this last week. There's most wrestling fans are horrible human beings. It's sad. It's sad because we're wrestling fans, but most wrestling fans are horrible